Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and viewers. Thank you for attending our Monday, December 12th, 2022 regular council meeting. I call the meeting to order at 1:01 p.m. I'm asking at this time if council has any added items to the agenda. We have Councillor Ryan is not with us today, so seeing none from council for added items, I would ask then for an adoption of the agenda as presented. And I would ask Deputy Mayor Blatz.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I move that the agenda for the regular council meeting for Monday, December 12th, 2022 be adopted as presented.
Thank you very much. I will now then call for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried unanimously. Item C, proclamations and announcements. We have none on our agenda today. Item number 2, adoption of previous minutes. This will be page 3 of your agenda, please. 2A, regular council meeting minutes of November 28th. We'll do them in separate motions, please. Yes, Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I would make the motion that council adopt the regular council meeting minutes from November 28th, 2022.
Thank you. I'll ask council, do you have any questions to these minutes? Seeing none then, I will call for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried unanimously. Item number 2B, special council meeting minutes. Councillor Daly.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the minutes from November 30th, 2022 special council meeting be adopted as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Daly. Once again, do you have any questions, council, for these minutes? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried unanimously. Thank you. Item number 3 is there any business arising from either of these minutes? Seeing none, we will go down to item 4 on our agenda, which will be our public hearing. Thank you very much. We are going to be doing both public hearings at the same time. We will be doing the public hearing for amendment to East Olds Area Redevelopment Plan 2022-24 and amendment to the Land Use Bylaw 2022-25. I now call the public hearing open. Section 172 of the MGA says that you may not take part in a discussion and decision-making on any matter in which you have a pecuniary interest. The legislation attempts to ensure that you are not discriminated either for or against by virtue of your membership on council. If you do have a pecuniary interest, you are to disclose that you have an interest and its general nature. You are to abstain from any discussion of the matter and from voting. You are to leave the room until the matter has been dealt with, and you should make sure that your abstention is recorded in the minutes. You are not to be discriminated against and are entitled to participate in a public hearing as a member of the public. The public hearing is now open. And I asked the development officer to explain the purpose and effect of the proposed bylaws. And our legislative clerk is going to, CEO Williams, please introduce our Parkland representative.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. And embarrassingly enough, I have forgotten your name. But from Parkland, we have a planner here from Parkland Community Planning Services to lead us through the public hearing and hopefully third and final reading. Second and third readings.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My name is Sarmad Abbasi. I'm here from PCPS. Don't worry, I get it. It's a little bit tough to pronounce. So the application brings forth 2 bylaw amendments. The first amendment would be to the East Old Area Redevelopment Plan, and this will be to update the future land use map with the proposed zoning. And the second amendment will be to the land use bylaw to update the existing land use map with the proposed zoning. So this parcel is located at 4802 along 54th Street. And currently, as of its last use, it was operating as a fitness center. Now, the applicant wants to accommodate a daycare commercial facility. Now, a little bit into the context of this parcel. This parcel, up until 2015 and a decade prior to that, this parcel was operating as a daycare. Following 2015, the landowner wanted to change it to a fitness center. And the planners of 2015, and with the context of that time, they decided that the best approach would be to apply a site-specific amendment to this specific lot to allow a fitness center as a permitted use within the R2 district. Now, we could take that approach as well. We could have a daycare facility commercial within the R2 district as a permitted use with a site-specific exception. However, just given the context of this application, it's just the planning consideration having taken into all the factors and then having looked at it, we recommend that this parcel undergoes a rezoning from the current zoning, which is R2, general residential, to neighborhood commercial. Well, the reason why we say that is because a neighborhood commercial, if the point of it is to accommodate commercial facilities within a neighborhood context. So it doesn't give you the whole broad uses that a commercial parcel typically has. However, it gives you the uses that are more compatible with a residential context. And now if you look at this property and its adjacent uses, well, there's high-density residential surrounding it, R3 uses. And if you look further along 54th Street, there's commercial parcels within vicinity, there's industrial parcels within vicinity. And we have submitted this for referrals. And we got no comments, no concerns or objections from adjacent landowners. We got no objections from AT, Alberta Transportation, or other relevant referral agencies. And with that, I conclude my presentation.
Thank you very much for that. At this time, I will move further down and I will explain the procedure and the rules that will be followed for the gallery. Presentations before council shall be brief and to the point, limited to 5 minutes. Council shall not allow cross-examination or persons giving information, and it will not be necessary for persons giving information to verify his or her qualifications. Council may ask questions of the speakers after each presentation for clarification purposes. No debating or questions from the floor will be allowed, and no written or verbal submissions will be received by council after the public hearing is closed. Persons addressing council will be stating their name and address, indicate if they are speaking on their own behalf or speaking for a client, company, or citizen group. I will then call first, second, and second, and those persons that are affected. So starting with, I am calling for a first time those in support of proposed bylaw, I believe is 2022-24, or speaking to both. And also, so for the East Olds area redevelopment plan and the land use bylaw. Are there any persons that wish to speak in support of the proposed bylaw? Don't worry, we're yes, please. You know what, it makes us nervous too sometimes, so don't worry.
Yeah, so I own the property. My husband and I own the property. Oh, Jamie D. Marshall. And when we purchased the property, it had been a daycare for 17 years, where nobody lived in the property. They had numerous kids going through. That was sort of what we had established the property from. Then we ran a fitness and yoga studio out of it. Prior to that, it was actually a church for those people that have lived in Olds this long. And so when we looked at the block, it looks like there's sort of, you know, a solo commercial property at the end of the block. There's only 2 R1 zones around us. And with the corner lot and the parking and just the potential for the R3 zoning changes within there, it seems like a fairly logical piece. Even when a bank looks at this property, they all see it as a commercial property. No one's going to live there. It's just set up in one big space. And right now, we currently have the Olds Boys and Girls Club in. which would house tons of children and care within our community. And obviously, my husband and I just want them to be in there as long as they possibly can, and in a neighborhood commercial zoning space.
Thank you very much for your comments. I will now call for a second time for those in support. Thank you. What's your name and your address, please?
My name is Jamie Woods. I'm a Director of Childcare Programs for BGC Oldson area. And I have just brought a speech on behalf of Letitia Gold, our Executive Director. Your Worship and Council, BGC Oldson area has proudly been providing programming for children and youth in Olds for 37 years. Our organization is continuously evolving to meet the needs of children, youth, and families in our community. In 2018, we began offering daycare for children 0 to 6 years of age. Since then, we have provided childcare services to over 400 families in Olds and Mountain View County. The need for childcare in our community is extraordinary. Currently, we are providing daycare to 141 children, with 104 children on our wait list. While the addition of this location will not completely ease the demand for childcare in our community, it will alleviate some of the need by allowing us to open 40 additional childcare spaces. The childcare spaces will be provided to families most in need of care who have been on our wait list for an extended period of time. Ukrainian refugees and children in foster care. Access to high-quality, affordable childcare promotes gender equality by allowing more parents, specifically mothers, to participate in the workforce, supports our local economy, and enhances the development of our future generations. Children who have participated in early childhood programs have higher graduation rates, improved grades, work habits, stronger social skills, and make better decisions. The approval of this land use amendment will enable our club to address the needs of children and families in our community, furthering us in our mission to provide safe, supportive places where children and youth can experience new opportunities, overcome barriers, build positive relationships, and develop confidence and skills for life. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Are we done with the in support? Thank you very much. We'll move along. I'll call for the first time for those opposed. Are there anyone to make a presentation for those opposed? Seeing one, I'll call for the second time. I will move forward from there then, and I will call for the first time for those persons deemed that they would be affected by the proposed bylaw. Second time, those deemed to be affected by the proposed bylaw. Seeing none from the gallery, I will now ask for council comments, if any. Seeing none from my council, I will ask our developer, Sarmad from Parkland, to make his final comments, if any.
There's no comments.
No further comments at this time. I declare the public hearing for bylaws 2022-24, 2022-25 closed at 1:15 p.m. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We will now go to our bylaws second reading, starting with 2022-24. I would like second reading, and Deputy Mayor Blatz.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I move that council give second reading to bylaw 2022-24.
I will call for the vote. Those in favor? That is unanimously carried. I would ask for third and final reading. Councillor Wilson?
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I make the motion that council gives third reading to bylaw number 2022-24.
You, Councillor Wilson. I now call for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried. Moving down now, I would ask for second reading of bylaw 2022-25. Councillor Walsh?
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the council give second reading to bylaw number 2022-25.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Does anyone have questions to 2022-25? I will then call for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried. Third and final reading, Councillor Daly.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that council gives third reading to bylaw number 2022-25.
Once again, I will call for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried unanimously. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And I also would like to thank our Parkland representative for your traveling and safe travels home. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now move down to item 5 of our agenda. These are delegations and presentations, page 21 of your agenda, and it will be for our Economic Development Quarterly Report. CAO Williams.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. We have Sandra Blythe with us, our EDO for the town of Olds.
Welcome, Sandra.
I always forget that. Okay, let's see here. All right, so this is my report for the fourth quarter of the year. Of course, there's the 3 areas that I always focus on. So starting with business retention expansion. So thank you for the approval on the budget items. So we can now mobilize that effort once again. So obviously nothing new is happening there since last year, and we delayed funding to this year. So that's going to be activated again. So getting out and meeting, reconfirming those individuals that had originally come forward. I've already started meetings within the region, so talking to the various EDOs about a regional strategy and finding out what the appetite is there for their engagement in the process. And then once hopefully we have that online, then it will be going out and potentially meeting with the councils and seeing if we can get a good regional economic strategy underway. So Q1, when I report again, I will be bringing forth an action plan for what the steps will be in moving that strategy forward. Business retention. Okay, so here's some of the things that have been happening in the last quarter. So same as last time, the last 3 reports that I've given on this, we talk about actual visitations, calls and emails and things like that. Of course, this is not a conclusive listing of all the emails and whatnot that come in, but these are the ones that we're addressing relevant items at the time. So you'll note that land and property requirements and marketing were the main hits in this area in discussions with our local businesses, and that's simply because in this quarter there's been a great focus on meeting with our developers and builders. So if you recall, back in the beginning when I talked about economic strategy development, at the local level we start with meeting with the realtors, finding out what's happening with the community. So that's what happened in Q2 and Q3. Q4 is the developers and builders. We've had those meetings. And then the next step is meeting with financial institutions and potential investors and finding where some equity is in the community. So that's where we've been focused in that area. So some of the meetings that we've had with the builders and developers, we really focused on 3 questions. It was interesting. We sent out, I think it was just over 30 emails to different builders and developers, and it was crickets. But what happened was we did end up getting 5 who wanted to come into some meetings, and we sat down, and the feedback is relatively positive. You know, they've essentially said working with the town over the years has been great. The other feedback was incentives. Yes, we definitely want to see incentives, and those will certainly benefit all of us in moving forward. Invest Olds and marketing the community and region was definitely seen as a benefit, and you know, compiling the various data and things that they need to be able to sell their properties and encourage development. So that was very positive. Some of the feedback that we did get about what could we do differently essentially was collaborating as a region was very important to them. They also said we need more rentals, more warehousing, regional development, and we had a lot of discussions around higher density development and what that can look like in the future. So there's definitely some interest out there. Okay. And then when we get into investment attraction, of course, it's always about where are we from the investment readiness perspective. So the technical readiness team, of course, here are the projects. We only had one meeting in this last quarter around the projects, but things are still developing even though that we don't have regular meetings. Some of those things are obviously the GIS map. If you've been watching our interim web page, I think we've got about 10 to 13 properties listed on there now. We're moving forward on some things for business licensing for next year. From an automated standpoint, we've got Teams, Microsoft Teams underway and doing some training there. And we now have all of our major investor on Teams, so we can collaborate with them online and share confidential information back and forth. So some interesting things happening in that regard. Okay, so from an investment standpoint, as you can see here, we're looking at a CapEx of a total of around 1.2 billion estimated. In this quarter, the technical readiness team actually met with two very active investors that totaled around about 350 million if it lands. And they're very active, so we're fingers crossed we can land them. So those meetings went well. Technical readiness team gave the green light on those, so now we're advancing efforts in that regard. In addition, what else can I tell you there? Construction, again, that's estimated 8 million is around the various developments and building constructions that are happening in the community. The retail item there is actually the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program. So if you recall, there were 2 letters that we approved underneath that program. So this individual has already located in town, already bought a property, and so now we're trying to help her advance that particular project, and she's already talking about expansion. So we went from, I believe her original investment was around 300,000. It was a basic retail business, and now that's expanding to a potential manufacturing opportunity, which could be that manufacturing process could be unique to this area. It's typical. I think right now the only one in Canada is in BC, so hopefully we can land that. On the business creation side, entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship, of course, we're working on building that into the website, which we will jump towards right now. So if you recall, the website that we're developing is really built with a sales funnel inside. So at this point, we're focused on the awareness stage, so it's building the content that has to go into that website that will get the lead that comes in the top of the funnel and hopefully get them down and land the investment. So that's all in development. So I'm going to give you a little bit. Should I click here? Yes, on the bottom. Oh, okay. Hello? Looks like it's going to work. How'd you do that? Okay, so the website, as I say, is still very much in development, but I want to show you some of the key components that our digital services person has developed for us. So investment opportunities is going to be a critical piece of the website. So this will be an area where site selector, potential investors can zero in on what's available in the community from a local perspective. Now, it might take a minute because I know he's working on the back end on this. All right. So when the investor lands here, and as I say, this is still in development, when they get here, this is going to focus specifically on Olds. So this is part of the area where we really want to collaborate with our local realtors on properties that they have available in the community. So as you can see, an investor can go in here, they can fill in a profile of how much they're looking for as far as particular square footage, price, what have you. They can do a search of particular properties. So right now we only have one in here, but this will be an area where we'll be able to get those other 10 to 13 properties that we currently have listed on here. Now if you look up here, This is an area where realtors or people that want to sell properties can go in. They can develop their own profile. I won't click there because it takes a while to get us in there, but ultimately, they will go in, they will create a login, create their own profile. We will approve everything that goes through the site before it goes online. But what's really cool about it is when they get in there, this thing will track in the back end all the analysis around number of hits on their property, what information they were looking for on that property, and so forth. So, click here. So Miller Meadows is one of our residential, it's mid to high residential development. And once they land on here, so I'm a potential investor, I can go in here and I can fill in my name, my phone number, my email, and say, hey, I'm interested in this property. And then this email will go directly to the real estate agent. They can click on different photos to see the property in a bit more detail. They can fill in a description. They can upload their promotional package, and all their contact information will be in here. As well, there's even a mortgage calculator that we've built in. And they can schedule a tour of the property. So they can try and set up a time, and as I say, all of this information will then go to the realtor. In addition, down here, now we're going to try and play this. So this is an example of the type of videos that we're looking at developing for all types of properties in the community, so whether that's industrial, residential. They'll all have a little bit of a different look and flair. This one is very much draft. We're waiting for some final information on Miller Meadows, so hopefully we're going to have that by the end of the week and you'll be able to see that. But we'll give you a look at the video. Okay, so as I say, that's still draft. There's still a lot more detail that we're going to be putting in there. So you know when you saw the little drop-down pins? So what we're going to have in there is also showing schools, downtown, other residential neighborhoods and whatnot that would be interested in somebody looking for a property as far as a residence in a community. So each one of those will be different based on the industry that we're looking at. Now, another thing I'll show you. So when we talk about the top of the funnel, the awareness thing is we are going to be posting all of these on social media first. So that's, we develop the product, then it goes on social media, and then it ties it back to the website, which is where the sales funnel comes in. Because what we want to know is how many of those people actually click and go to the website, and where do they go on that website. So over the next year, it's really going to be a learning curve, figuring out, well, what is our market's interest? Where are they spending most of the time? What videos are they liking? And from that, we start to understand things, and then we produce more in that vein, if that makes sense. So I'll just show you a little bit of what that could look like. Now, this area will not be called blog, but I asked him to load it on here for this purpose only today. So here's an example of the templates that we're going to have going out. So these would go out on social media, this would be the first template. I don't know if you can see that well enough, but if I click on it, it takes too long. Anyway, so they would get this in social media, click on it, and then they can pan through, get a little bit more details on the actual property, and then the last page is the contact with the real estate agent or the seller. And then once they get to the website, they can see the video and so forth. Okay, and this one, so this is an example of an industry video that we're going to be doing. So on the industry side of things, what we're trying to do here, this is not a new business, it's Bar Ag, it's in the region. But what we need to do is show a profile of what that industry looks like here. So it makes sense to be able to bring in some of the bigger industry players. Obviously, Bar Ag is an exporter, and they're also a buyer of local resource, so, or feedstock rather. So we wanted to do a little video on this, and we will do this for all of the target industries that we'll be focusing on. So just give you a little flavor of this one here.
We're Bar Ag Limited. We're in the business. We have farms, and so we grow, process, and export forages for the Asian markets. So we grow timothy and alfalfa here in the parkland. We have irrigation farms as well. We employ 100 or so people during the peak of the season in the summertime. You know, we try to hire as much local as we can, but you know, this year we had workers from Australia, New Zealand, Germany, Israel, France. Our model is a little different than other exporters. You know, we're producers as well, so 80% of what we export we grow ourselves. The other 20% we'll buy local if we can. But it's you know, nowadays, you know, grain is moving up and down, you know, the corridor. You've got a lot of movement, so it's available price. But this is beautiful black soil. You know, we have moisture, we have you know, opportunity. We can grow lots of products here. So you know, we have lots of strategic relationships with good farmers here, and we're able to buy what we need. We brought the Boer goats to Canada, so if you've ever seen a Boer goat, we did that during my when I was there. That was probably my greatest moment at Olds College. We made a deal. We brought in embryos, and so we built an isolation barn. And I think it, you know, the town itself, you know, it's a pretty town. It's kind of a gateway to the west. You know, we could be fishing trout in 30 minutes. We can be, you know, when we hunted, we were able to do that. Great land, close to Banff, close to Calgary.
Okay. So where are we trying to get to with this? So we want to be able to show that this is an exporter, the countries that he's working in, that he's hiring immigrant employees as well as local employees, that there's plenty of feedstock here and living here is fantastic. So when we meet with our industries, that's kind of the template that we want to look at. So anyways, that's that. What else can I tell you? So I guess leaning to the next, ooh, how do I get back there, my dear Marcy? Escape. Go ahead. XO. Ah, there we go. All right, so that's the digital marketing stuff, local business promotion. So we have 7 other businesses in the pipeline. I mean, you know, it's going out. Not all will be videos. We're going to have specific ones that will have videos, but others will just be a story. So we're looking at those businesses that may be expanding, new businesses. We're also looking in the back. During COVID, there were new businesses that started up and some that expanded. So we want to be able to profile those. And once we start getting these social media campaigns out, we're going to be looking for those businesses. Come and tell us if you have a story, and getting out to do that. So it takes a little bit, right? We want to do a video, and people get a little freaked out about doing the video, but we eventually talk them into it and walk them through that. So we're in the process of all that right now. Let's see, what else can I tell you? Website development, really, we're building content right now. And trying to get those stories in and figuring out how the flow of the sales funnel is going to work. So next time I come, you're going to see a lot more. Active leads, I think we've talked about that already. There's 8 ultimately in the pipeline right now. 3 very active that we spend a lot of time on. Olds College, met with them last week, so that will be another video that we're going to have on here to show the types of programming, the ag tech that they do there, the R&D are our primary targets for what we want to profile in the college, and of course the ag corridor and the partnerships that they have with the University of Calgary and so forth. Again, local developers, we're still working with a number of those, 4 in particular right now, in residential and commercial development. So I'm excited to get a commercial video out, but I can't seem to find anybody that's ready to do one yet. So Q1, fingers crossed. What else can I tell you? Yes, we talked about that, and working with that, of course, with Brent and the planning department and the TRT and making these things happen. And then proposal to council in Q1 will cover the Economic Development Strategy Action Plan. That's it.
Great presentation. Thank you very much, Sandra. I'll open the floor if council has any questions for you at this time. That was great videos. The DNA highway right through Olds. I love it. Right
Yeah.
to the mountains. No questions for Sandra at this time? Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. Thank you, Sandra, for the presentation. I just have a question. What are the challenges you're seeing with the immigrant entrepreneur program? I noticed we had, I think, 45 closed cases, very few, if any, materializing into anything. So what have you seen with the immigrant program and working with CAPE and the delegation that went over to India?
Well, I think I've only heard from one who was actually part of that original delegation. So most of the requests that come in are oftentimes they're just looking for any business. We can't get them through the top part of the criteria that the province requires, where they have to show that they actually qualify underneath the provincial criteria. And then next step is arranging the virtual meeting and actually seeing a business plan. So a lot of them are really, I think, trying to figure out the marketplace. They have capital to spend, they want to secure a visa, but they're not really sure how to do that. So we can provide them opportunities, but it's sort of all over the map. But the ones that did come through were ones that really knew what they wanted to do, came forward with the business plan, actually assessed the marketplace, could come forward and illustrate that, right? So that one, as I said, she has landed already. And the other one I'm waiting to hear. Now, on the program side of things, I heard, and I don't know whether this is true or not, but that there's been a bit of a change in the Alberta government in how they're rolling out that plan. So it's now gone from a 6-month wait time to a 12-month wait time, but I have to look into that. Yeah. And I should say, too, when I met with the regional economic developers, that was about a month ago, we did discuss this, and everybody's experiencing the same thing.
Thank you, Sandra. All right. You have a supplemental, Councillor Wilson?
Well, not really a supplemental.
All right.
Additional question if there are no others.
There's no others. Go ahead, Councillor Wilson.
Thank you. I was just looking for some clarification. I think we've talked about this in the past, but the role of the Secretariat versus the Technical Readiness Team, are both groups still going? Is the Secretariat still involved, and if so, to what extent?
Yes. So the Secretariat they were here before I came, so that's the chamber and the college and ourselves. So they are still meeting. In fact, I think we meet next week. And the Technical Readiness Team is staff. So these are the internal technical folks, like your engineers, safety, and all of that. So yes, both still meet on a regular basis, and Secretariat was really about the economic strategy. So now that we've got the budget to move forward on that, we'll be advancing that. This week, we're going to be looking at going over the survey for local business. So I have provided them a template in that, so I'm looking for feedback in those key areas of the survey, what they want to see in questions, changes, revisions, and whatnot. Then when we bring together the larger economic players, we will already have a draft template survey in place for their review and feedback.
Good information. Very good. I think we have learned a lot here this afternoon with you, Sandra, so thank you very much. I'd ask for council at this time to put a motion on the floor, please. Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that council accept for information the economic development update as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. I'll call for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried. Thank you once again. Go take on the rest of the day now. Very good. We will move down to item 6 now, bylaws, page 33. This is our bylaw 2022-27 rates bylaw. And would you like, I believe you're getting ready, Director Linderman? Go ahead.
Thank you. At the last regular council meeting, we passed our rates bylaw for 2023, and unfortunately after that meeting, an error was found on Schedule D of the Sportsplex rates. That is the one schedule that has a July effective date, not a January 1st. So being brought back it was easier to redo a whole new bylaw as opposed to having an amending bylaw. And then, not included in your RFD, I have become aware that the Wastewater Commission is actually lowering their rate increase. So I would like to propose that we also make a change to Schedule A today to the wastewater meter consumption rates. So this would be for residential, the new rate would be $4.72 as opposed to $4.74. And for non-residential, the new rate would be $5.18 as opposed to $5.20.
Anything further? Thank you for sharing that information. Does council have any questions before we move forward with the readings to Director Linderman? Very good, then I would, seeing none, I'll ask for first reading for bylaw 2022-27 rates bylaw. Councillor Cummings.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I move that first reading be given to bylaw 2022-27 rates bylaw as amended.
Thank you. I see no questions. I'll call for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried. Second reading, please. Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that second reading be given to bylaw 2022-27 rates bylaw as amended.
Thank you. I will call for the vote. Those in favor? That's carried. Deputy Mayor, for consent for third reading, please.
I move that unanimous consent be given to present bylaw 2022-27, the rate bylaw, for third reading as amended.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Blatz. I will call for the vote at this time. Those in favor? That is carried. Third and final reading, please. Councillor Daly.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that third reading be given to bylaw 2022-27 rates bylaw as amended.
Thank you. I will call for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Director Linderman. All right, we will move to item 6B, page 63 of your agenda. This is the bylaw 2022-28 repeal bylaw. CEO Williams?
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. This bylaw is to formally repeal several other bylaws that council has given direction to administration via resolution to over 2022. As per the MGA, a bylaw can't be repealed without a bylaw, so that is more of the checking the box. And also added to this, which you haven't seen but have spoken to, is bylaw 2015-27, college dormitory tax bylaw, which was originally put in place in 2015 when the Olds College dormitory was built and operated by a private company. Since that time, the college has taken back control of that dormitory, and the rationale for taxing that building is no longer there. So the request of council is to repeal that bylaw and make those residences once again tax exempt.
Thank you for sharing that information, and I would like to add, by not repealing old and obsolete bylaws, council could be subject to liabilities due to having outdated bylaws in place. So we are going to move forward with these, and if there's nothing further, I will ask for first reading for the repealed bylaw. Deputy Mayor Blatz.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I move that repeal bylaw 2022-28 be given first reading as presented.
If there's no questions, I will call for the vote. Those in favor? That's carried. I see Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I would move that the repeal bylaw 2022-28 be given second reading as presented.
Thank you. At this time, no questions. I will call for the vote. All those in favor? That's carried. Consent for third reading, please. Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the repeal bylaw 2022-28 be given unanimous consent for third reading.
I will now call for the vote for unanimous consent. Those in favor? That's carried. Third and final reading, please. Deputy Mayor Blatt.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I move that repeal bylaw 2022-28 be given third and final reading as presented.
And once again, I will call for the final vote for third and final reading. Those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much, Council. We will move down to new business at this time, page 65 of your agenda, and it is item 7A. And, no, yeah, it is. Sorry. And this is special council meeting. If we could, I think it's pretty straightforward. If we could have a motion on the floor? Okay. I'll get Councillor Cummings, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that council establish a special council meeting for December the 20th, 2022 at 9 a.m. in Mountain View County Council Chambers at 1408 Township Road, 320, Didsbury, Alberta, to review the Town of Olds and Mountain View County Fire Service Sub-Agreement.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cummings. This is the resolution that's on the floor. Are there any questions? Seeing none, I will ask Council for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We will move down to page 66, item 7B, Destination Olds Collective Fund. I would ask CEO Williams if you could introduce this, please.
Yes, thank you again, Mayor Dahl. This is related to the dormitory bylaw that was just repealed. The taxation revenue from the dormitory tax went to the Destination Olds Collective Fund. Now that that bylaw is repealed and the revenue no longer exists, the recommendation, as was discussed at previous times, is to repeal the DOCF policy, given the lack of revenue to really justify its selected, continual, or consistent use as a tourism strategy, essentially. So in the background, it was what was presented at a former PMP meeting as the purpose, which direction was largely achieved. So the recommendation is to repeal the fund and have the remaining tax revenue, which is essentially from the Pomeroy Hotel, be directed to general revenue.
Thank you, CEO Williams. For our viewers who are new, PNP is Council Policies and Priorities Meeting. I would ask at this time if Council could put the motion on the floor. Councillor Daly.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that Council repeal Council Policy 130C, Destination Olds Collective Fund, and allocate future Olds College taxation revenues to general revenue.
Thank you, Councillor Daly, for that. Are there any final questions before I call for the vote? Seeing none, then, I will call for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried unanimously. Thank you. Page 68, please, item 7C. And this is our amendment to our cemetery bylaw. Would you like to speak to that, CEO Williams?
Thank you yet again, Mayor Dahl. So this is requesting direction to yet again amend the cemetery bylaw, which is recently before council. In conversations recently with Mountain View County, they brought up a point around the definition of resident, that as it stands right now, we have two rates for burials and interments, a resident rate and a non-resident rate. Mountain View County has requested that town council consider county residents under the resident rate, whereas right now they're considered non-resident. The issue from the town's point of view is that the cemetery costs approximately $130,000 a year in maintenance to upkeep, and then obviously the costs of burials and interments. The county does not provide any subsidy for those costs, so that has been traditionally the logic for the town applying the non-resident rate to county residents. However, as the RFD explains, the rationale of administration, and I believe on the ICC side, is to measure good faith, and that once our agreements are up for renewal next year, this will be a piece to bring forward for further discussion. The financial impact of doing this is fairly minimal, as we don't fully track the resident to non-resident rate historically, so we don't have long-term accurate data to share, but $2,000 to $10,000 in a certain year, depending on the burials and interments, would be the lost revenue. So compare that against the perhaps improvement to the relationship and obtaining a better facility agreement. I believe the recommendation from administration is to proceed with this amendment.
Thank you, CEO Williams. I'd like to add also that this change would result in the inclusion of the Mountain View County being residents and improve our intermunicipal relations with Mountain View County on our intermunicipal cooperation committee. And as our CEO has noted, that there will be a future contract coming back up once again, so we would like to move this forward as an intermunicipal relations with the Mountain View County. I would like a motion on the floor, please. Deputy Mayor Blatz.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I move that council direct administration to bring forward an amendment to the cemetery bylaw that includes Mountain View County residents in the definition of resident.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Blatz. Are there any further questions at this time? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried unanimously. Thank you very much, and we can certainly bring updates to that from our committee in the future. And page 84 in your agendas at this time, and it's item 7D, Olds Fiber Limited shareholder decisions. These are, would you like to start with these, and then I will move forward with council?
Yeah, so I'll give a brief overview, just mainly for the viewing public at home, online, and in the gallery, that the town is the sole shareholder of Olds Fiber Limited, which operates, also known as ONET, the fiber optic utility provider in town. The purposes of the RFD before council is to amend and adopt several documents that are essential to the governance of ONET. The first document is called the Unanimous Shareholders Agreement, which is a required document as per the terms of a municipally controlled corporation. This outlines the relationship between future shareholders and also explains how the shareholder expects the corporation to be governed, board responsibility specifically. The second document, called Mandates and Roles, is enacted by the Unanimous Shareholder Agreement and is a document between the corporation and the shareholder, in this case Olds Fiber Limited and the town of Olds. It gets specific to the duties of not just the board or the shareholder, but the officers of the corporation, mainly the chief executive officer. Also speaks to reporting requirements, what the town expects on a quarterly and annual basis, information to be presented to it, to ensure that the shareholder has continual updated information on the operations and progress of the corporation, and it's the goal set out in its business plan. The other document is a bylaw, resolutions of the corporation. This bylaw is the last time council will see this bylaw. It's here because the previous March 2022 bylaw was brought to council. The policies adopted by the organization and the USA as well state that the bylaw is part of the corporation. It's not necessarily a role of council. So while you're asked to pass a resolution on it today, this will be now vested with the corporation. And the final piece is board appointments. So as everyone here and some people in the public will know, that the town's intention is to slowly remove elected officials from the OFL board and appoint public at-large members with particular expertise. The RFD is asking council to appoint one member, Randy Yablonsky, to the OFL board and remove one member from the current 7 elected officials sitting on the board. So if there's any questions on the mechanics or the otherwise of these documents, I'm happy to take that. But if not, I believe it's been discussed already many times.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarity, CAO Williams, and we'll start one at a time, and we'll go down and take questions for each if you so choose, council members. So I would look for a motion then for number 1, please, for shareholder agreement. Councillor Cummings.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that council approve the updated unanimous shareholder agreement as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Cummings. We've heard the background from our CAO. Are there any further questions from our council? I would then call for the vote. Those in favor? That is unanimous. I'm looking for second for the mandates and roles. I'm sorry, we'll start here. Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I move that council approves the mandates and roles document with the Olds Fiber Limited Board of Directors as presented.
Thank you. And once again, council has reviewed these several times. Any additions or questions? Then I will call for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried unanimously. Now, number 3, again, we have had this explained to us. We are going to rescind an appointment of one of the 7 elected officials to the OFL board, and typically this would be 2, but we're not ready at that point in time to do that, as we only have one OFL board of director appointment, Randy Yablonsky. So I suppose we could do more than one if we wanted. However, speaking, we need one to replace today, and I would just ask council at this time if you'd like to speak to any of these. CO Williams and then Councillor Wilson.
No, I was just going to say, I'm not sure exactly how we would proceed with this. The board has a pending resignation that hasn't yet been dealt with and will be this week. So I'm not sure how we would proceed. Do we just name Mr. Yablonsky at this point and defer on the rescindment?
CO Williams?
Yeah, and that was my point as well. Since Director Walsh has tendered his resignation, but the board meeting has not occurred yet, I can leave it to Director Walsh, Councillor Walsh, to speak on behalf of Director Walsh. But if I believe the town can go ahead and recommend to remove Director Walsh based on his intention to resign in favor of appointing Randy Yablonsky. I believe that is the most pragmatic path to take at this point.
I would like to ask Councillor Walsh where he's standing with this at this point in time.
It's interesting. Actually, I was gonna kind of nominate Director Dahl, because she's the one that volunteered to be rescinded from this. My resignation is in a different context, so that just might confuse things, but I would rather see Director Dahl. She's the one that volunteered to do that.
In explanation for our viewers and the gallery or whoever is watching, that is correct. Out of the 7 elected officials, when we were elected, we made very clear that each one of us elected officials would eventually be stepping down. And as the mayor, I did nominate myself or recommend that I would be the first one to step down and take the lead as the mayor to start the process. So Councillor Walsh is correct. I certainly could leave my name stand at this point then. I don't know where he's going to land on his letter of resignation. So we'll wait until we have our meeting to that point. Is that correct? So I will let my name stand then, and I will feel that the council move to rescind the appointment of Director Dahl to the OFL Board of Directors and appoint Randy Yablonski as a director of the OFL Board of Directors. That is what I will put that on the, I can't put it on the floor myself because it includes myself, so I would ask for a motion, please. Director, or Deputy Mayor.
Just a question, if I might, is actually what I was going to ask. So if we do this today, should we have an effective date as part of this? Or is it effective as of today's date?
Bill Williams.
No, it should be of January 1st, 2023.
Thank you for that clarity. That's all I needed.
Very good question. I'm still looking for a motion for this, please. Councillor Cummings.
Thank you, Worship. So I move that council move to rescind the appointment of Director Dahl to the OFL Board of Directors and appoint Randy Yablonski as a director of the OFL Board of Directors effective January 1st, 2023.
Does council have any further questions? This will be a process that is ongoing in 23, and I am going to follow it immensely. Thank you. Those in favor? That's carried unanimously. Item 4, we are looking now for, with regards to the bylaw. Motion, please. Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I move that council accept the recommendation from the Olds Fiber Limited Board of Directors regarding changes to the OFL bylaw number 1 as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Does council have questions? We've seen this. Councillor Cummings.
So I do still have just one clarification question on this particular one here. As the Business Corporation Act requires this bylaw to be ratified at a shareholders meeting, is this to be considered a shareholders meeting, or will this bylaw still require to be ratified at the AGM?
Williams, would you like to answer that?
I believe this would meet that test, ratified here. This bylaw will be brought forward at essentially every AGM going forward as well.
Thank you. The motion states as it is on the floor by Councillor Wilson. I will ask for the final, a call for the vote. Those in favor? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, number 5, motion number 5. Oh, we got 2 hands at the same time. Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that council direct administration to sign the resolutions of the shareholders of the Olds Fiber Limited as presented in accordance with the Town of Olds Signing Authority Policy 213C.
Thank you once again, Councillor Walsh. I will now call for the vote. Those in favor? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Very good. And we're good. We do not need a break. We're all good. All right, we will move forward then. Item 8, page 131 of your agenda. And these are our reports from council boards, committees, commissions, our ABCs. And if I could get a motion on the floor to start discussion, we'll go from there, please. Deputy Mayor Blatz.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I move that reports from councils, authorities, boards, committees, and commissions ending December 12th, 2022 be received for information.
Thank you very much. We only have Mountain View Regional Water Services Commission minutes available for this. Just to remind council, we will have an updated body for the next agenda. We have updated this. Is there any questions to those correspondence in regards to the RFD? If not, I'm going to start with council report. This is our last meeting before Christmas, other than a special council meeting, which is dealing with budget. So we have a report from period November 29 to December 12. Is that not correct?
Thank you. Your special meeting is for fire, not budget.
My apologies. Thank you, Legislative Clerk Marcy. Thank you. I'd be happy to start if some of you are preparing. So report period from November 29 to December 12th. Standing committees were council special, council policies and priorities, council regular meetings. We did have some OFL governance committee and board meetings through there. Highlights, December 4th, I attended the Queen Elizabeth II Platinum Medal ceremony that the provincial government, the Alberta government, mandated Alberta municipalities to manage for the year 2022, where we had 4 recipients along with us, and I do believe they have been on the radios, but if nobody recalls who they were, now I'm going to have Bev Taves, Michelle Jorgensen, Joy Caven, and Métis Elder Doreen Burgum were alongside of me, and it was well received and done. The ceremony was done in Calgary. December 9th, we had a Town of Old staff Christmas party where some of our councils were able to attend with our staff for dinner. And December 10th, of course, we had the CP Rail Christmas holiday train, which did very well this year. Well attended. The train was late due to another, had to pull over on a spur because the actual train on the tracks had some work to be done on it. So, however speaking, the celebration was great. The children, it was very cold. Not many people left. The food bank did very well. The food bank, in Olds, received 4,000, and it is the Mountain View Food Bank, so they will go down the line now to Didsbury, and Didsbury also received $4,000. So in total, we will have $8,000 that were given to our food bank, and there was copious amounts of groceries also landed for donations and some cash along the side. So kudos to every volunteer and to every person that helped in the donations for the food bank through the CP Rail Christmas train this year, and as well today's meeting. And I will go around the floor now to council. Who would like to speak? Councillor Daly?
Thank you, Worship. So on top of attending regular council meetings as well as special council meetings and PMP meetings and CAO conversation meetings, I attended the IACC meeting I forget the date of it now, our last one, and I've also attended the MPC meeting. South Red Deer Wastewater Organizational meeting I attended on December 9th, as well as the Town of Olds Christmas party as a guest of the staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further reports today? Councillor Walsh?
Yeah, the one committee that I'm on is Saltaire Regional Wastewater Commission, and the result of that meeting, there's a slight change in our rates bylaw. The City of Red Deer reduced their cubic meter charge by 2 cents, so that has been passed on to all municipalities also. So that's, plus we talked about the Water for Life grant that has been applied through South Red Deer Regional Wastewater Commission. It's a $7.2 million ask. That's to create a line from our lift station, or South Red Deer lift station here in town to our lagoon system. It's amazing. I was around when that first was costed out. It was only 1.5 million or something in that ballpark. So, but that could happen over the next 2, 3, 4 years.
Any further reports? Councillor Wilson?
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I just have one quick item. Neither of the boards I sit on, the Parkland Regional Library nor the Chamber, have met since my last update, but I very much enjoyed. I attended the Olds High School Christmas Palooza on December 7th, so loaded up with all my Christmas baking, and the leadership students there put on another fine fundraiser for Christmas Angels. I'm not sure what the final amount raised is, but I'll talk to Luann Stachek and then report that, or she'll get a note out for the next time we're together. But yeah, it was a great little event on December 7th.
Do a great job of reaching out to the community to attend their events too. I was unfortunately busy that evening, but if I would have bought a pizza box full of cookies, they'd be gone by now. So I would have to buy more. Oh, okay, there you go. They do awesome work, and I'm very proud of them. Councillor Blatz, are you?
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I
Okay.
only attended all the regular standing
Okay.
council meetings, and I did go to the CP holiday train with my granddaughters, which was very well received, and I did also attend the staff Christmas party as a guest.
Thank you, Councillor Blatz. Any further? No? Okay, Councillor Cummings?
Thank you, Worship. So other than the regular old things, I didn't actually attend anything in the last couple of weeks to report.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor right now then to receive for information from Deputy Mayor Blatz. If we're done there, I will call the vote. Those in favor? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Item number 9, please. CEO report and his action list. Verbal update, CEO Williams.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. And I'll actually ask the legislative clerk to bring up an item that was not included on the agenda item. So you're all familiar with Report a Problem, which is a web-based form where people submit complaints, largely bylaw and road focused. So in anticipation of having a proper software program in the new year, we wanted to get a process in place. Over the last several months, operations and communications have worked together to essentially make several procedures throughout the entire organization match one another. The end result is this month the report that council will see. Also open to, obviously, comments for improvement on it, but it's showing, based on the categories presented to people who fill out reports on the website, how many of those reports were received, how many of those reports we consider closed, and how many are still opened. So as you can see, the period November 1 to November 30th, we've received 134 report of problems. The vast majority were road issues related, not surprisingly, to snowfalls and the timeliness of snow removal, slippery sections and whatnot, and then utilities and garbage collection around the announcements with the reduction in compost bins mainly. The vast majority of those have been closed. By law, it does take a bit longer, so those are largely left open. And we have been sending specific responses when people click yes, that they require a response within the 72 hours. If it's a more complicated response, they just get kind of a generic but personal email that we have received your complaint and we will action it accordingly. And then we deal with specific ones as we progress on them. So on that, not today, because this is your first time seeing it. I didn't get it quite ready in time to include in your package, but going forward, open to any comments, areas of improvement for such a report, and then to speak to the general public. The reporter problem function on the website is by far the most efficient way for administration to action infrastructure and bylaw, parks, sports fields issues, and we encourage you to use that as well. phone calls and emails are fine, of course. We do try to have staff who receive phone calls enter that into the system as well, so we try to capture everything. And same thing when councillors pass on complaints to myself, for instance. But hopefully it's something that we build and show results to residents, that it's not just going by the wayside, that we are trying to take these concerns seriously and show results for them. But with that, it's a first draft, so. Yep. So then you go to the action item list, Marcy, if you can. Thank you. So from December 5th's PMP meeting, there were 5 items added. The 2 that are finished, that snow removal and community peace officer priorities, will be added to service level review. Late March, early April is the tentative schedule for that. The 2 that are ongoing, council has requested updated new to you costing be brought to them, and we're anticipating hopefully by January 9th we can have some specific data that was presented at a high level at PMP, brought back for council consideration. And with that, the regular inclusion of the new to you item on January's meeting. I'm assuming there's some people in the gallery for this reason as well. It's not on the agenda for this meeting in particular, but we do plan on having it the first meeting in January with hopefully this information. The second thing is the advertising of Highway 27 and 2A maintenance concerns, because the town of Olds is not responsible for that, but we do receive a lot of complaints regarding the condition of those 2 highways. So we are advertising the Volker Steven and Alberta Transportation maintenance contacts for our central region, first on the website and then with Did You Know social media post. So, and that is my report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, CAO Williams. Council members, any questions to your CAO at this point? We're aware of the information then. I would ask for a motion, please, for acceptance of information. Deputy Mayor Blatz.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I move that the verbal CEO report be accepted for information.
I would then call for the vote. Those in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much. Page 167 of your agenda, item 10A, 2023 operating budget, and Director Linderman's ready to go.
Thank you, Mayor. So being presented today is the 2023 operating and capital budgets for final approval. We have 4 motions that are required, and so I'll just run through, I think we'll do them one at a time if that's okay with you. So the first one is the 2023 operating budget in the amount of $32,773,150. This was at our November 30th special council meeting. We went through all the items that are included in this budget, and it does include, as was discussed at that time, the 5% increase to tax revenue. And I'll just open it up if council has any further questions on that budget.
Does council have a question? Councillor Cummings.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm wondering if the financial Director of Finance could explain to our public the difference between a 5% revenue increase and a 5% tax rate increase.
So I guess just to go back straight to basics, in order to come up with our tax rate each year, you look at your assessment and your revenue required. Instead of, and so normally that's what a council will do, is you figure out your revenue required, divide that by your assessment, and that's your tax rate. This year we put together our budget, deciding that we, in order to balance, needed another $500,000 in revenue, and went backwards. So instead of setting the tax rate, we're setting the revenue required. So we're saying we need $500,000. This is our assessment, which of course at this point in time is just an anticipated assessment value, which we're seeing a significant increase in. This would result in an actual tax rate decrease because of the increased assessment value. It gets a little convoluted, but I don't know if that explains it at all.
No, absolutely. That's exactly what I was looking for, that with the increased value of our homes in the town of Olds, because it's such a great place, our tax rate actually has to decrease to increase our budget. And that's exactly what I was looking for as an explanation. Thank you.
We will do these one at a time. I'm sorry, Councillor Wilson?
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. So just further to that question, so, and again, just for our viewers now and later, when will we know the actual tax increase? And I know it's contingent on finalization of the assessments and so on, but what does that rough approximate timing look like for the benefit of our citizens?
So the tax rate bylaw is typically brought to council at the beginning of April. Assessments are finalized at the end of February and sent to the province, and then we work internally and bring it in April.
Help you? Very good. Would you like to make that motion as well?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I would make the motion that the 2023 operating budget in the amount of $32,773,150 be approved as presented.
Thank you very much. We have a motion on the floor from Councillor Wilson at this time. I'll call for the vote from council with regards to the operating budget. Those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Go ahead, Director Linderman.
Thank you. So the next motion required is the 3-year financial plan. This is something fairly new. I believe it came into effect 2 years ago as part of the MGA, that a municipality must also have a 3-year financial plan. So included in your package was the 2024 to 2026 operating budget. I'll just quickly look at that. If you look at that, you'll notice in 2024, you actually have a surplus at the end of the year at this point. That is mainly due to a few debt payments falling off. And then we increase a little bit in 2025 and then 2026. I did include in your agenda package some of the assumptions that were used to make this budget. And so it was just an inflationary factor of 2% on all goods and materials, contracted services. Water and wastewater consumption rates increasing, no new employees, insurance increases of 10%, and then service levels remaining status quo.
Thank you. Questions? I would ask for a motion, please, for the financial plan to be approved. Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the 2024 to 2026 financial plan be approved as information.
Thank you. Then I would call for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Item 3, please, the 2023 capital budget. Director Linderman.
Thank you. So yes, the next item is the 2023 capital budget in the amount of $7,227,455. The changes since it was presented November 30th are the removal of the Centennial Park washroom and the removal of the trails, which will come back at spring budget adjustment time.
Does I have questions? Seeing none, I would ask for a motion, please, as presented. Councillor Daly.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the 2023 capital budget in the amount of $7,227,455 be approved as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Daly. I will now call for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. And the fourth and final one for the 5-year capital plan for 2024 to 2028.
Thank you. So again, this is the 5-year capital plan, and just a quick highlight, total 5 years is $27,057,000. You'll see it is fairly spread out well, with the highest year being 2024, and this is just mainly due to our water loss and inflow and infiltration phases that we're starting in 2023 and then continuing into 2024. You'll also see the South Reservoir relining is that same year, so that increases as above that $5 million mark. And I would open it up to any questions there.
Yes, thank you. Lots of discussion in this area we have had. Does council wish to add any questions? I will now ask for a vote, or sorry, I will now ask for a motion, please, on the floor. Deputy Mayor Blatt.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I move that the 2024 to 2028 five-year capital plan be approved as information.
Thank you. I will now call for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried unanimously. And again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Director Linderman and CAO Williams. Moving down to page 183, please, item 11. This is our correspondence and information. And if we could get a motion on the floor just to start with, please. Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, excuse me. Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I make the motion that the correspondence and information report ending December 12th, 2022 be received for information.
Very good. We have listed items here of correspondence, so I will ask council, are any of these correspondence ones you wish to speak to? Deputy Mayor Blatz.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I just want to comment that I was extremely pleased to read the letter in regards to our receiving the grant for the municipal internship program for our finance officer. That was very good.
They'll find lots of work for this intern, and they are very beneficial to a municipality. And if there's no further questions to any correspondence, I will call for the vote. We have motion on the floor from Councillor Wilson. Those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. All right. We will be moving into a closed session, and I will read the following information for our closed session. When council goes into a closed session for continued participation in the virtual council meeting, stay online in the live stream meeting platform, and the meeting stream will be replaced by a graphic and music will play. When the music stops, the meeting is reconvening. If you choose to shut down on your live stream, watch the Town of Old social media feeds where the reconvening time will be posted. The social media feeds can also be found at the bottom of the home page on the Town of Old's website. Thank you. Motion please to go into closed session. We'll just give Doug a second here. We'll take a motion though as you read your motion. Councillor Wilson, was that you? Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I would make the motion that council go into a closed session under FOIP 25, disclosure harmful to economic and other interests of a public body at 2:28 with the following people remaining. And I would look for some guidance there. Everybody at the table?
Yeah, I think just the CAO and legislative clerk and Director Andrew can remain for the fire agreement as well, if he wishes. But
Okay, we'll go with that. CAO, Administrative Clerk, and Director Andrew for the one item. All else are excused.
Going to go further for the other FOIP? Oh, they're all 25. Okay, thank you very much. For the sake of the viewers, do you want to read what they are?
I can do
Item
that,
2?
yes. Item 2, FOIP, again, under FOIP 20, Section 25, disclosure harmful to economic and other interests of a public body, the fire service sub-agreement. And item 3 is FOIP 25, again, disclosure harmful to economic and other interests of a public body, land use planning.
Thank you. I will call for the vote. Those in favor? Going into closed? Carried unanimously. Does anybody want to take 5 minutes? Yeah, it usually takes us 5 minutes, doesn't it? How many waters you get in here?
was a good video. I brought it back to you. I like that.
Hey, kiddo. I thought you were shoveling.
The Rogers Wrapped in Red event.
Streaming a movie? Out here?
The Rogers Wrapped in Red event.
Must be that extra data I got you.
The Rogers Wrapped in Red event.
Wait! I love this part of the movie.
The Wrapped in Red event.
Unwrap our biggest deals of the season with mobile plans from $60 a month. Great gifts for them, great deals for you. Visit Rogers.com or a store near you for details.
This episode is brought to you by Mazda. We need more early morning skies above and gravel underfoot. We need more fresh air, cool water, and more moments to enjoy what's already there. We need more connecting to the natural world and exploring all this beauty without limits. The first ever Mazda CX-50. We're more human in nature. Visit Mazda.ca.
PC Optimum wins are some of my favorite messages. Here's another great one.
Hey PC, this time of year I love treating my family to the perfect gift. And with the bonus redemption event, I get to treat myself too. I got $140 off today at Shoppers Drug Mart when I redeemed 100,000 points. That's an extra $40.
We love it too, from hand cream and nail polish to piling up the PC Optimum points. That's how we make things better. PC Optimum points can be redeemed in store and online.
The bonus redemption event runs December 9th to 14th, exclusive to Shoppers Drug Mart. Restrictions apply. Details in store.
PC Optimum wins are some of my favorite messages. Here's another great one.
Hey PC, this time of year I love treating my family to the perfect gift. And with the bonus redemption event, I get to treat myself too. I got $300 off today at Shoppers Drug Mart when I redeemed 200,000 points. That's an extra $100.
We love it too, from hand cream and nail polish to piling up the PC Optimum points. That's how we make things better. PC Optimum points can be redeemed in store and online.
The bonus redemption event runs December 9th to 14th, exclusive to Shoppers Drug Mart. Restrictions apply. Details in store.
Thank you and welcome back, everyone. We are reconvened to our Rise and Report portion of our council meeting, and I am looking for a motion for items FOIP 25. Deputy Mayor Blatz?
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I move that we accept item number 1, item number 2, and item number 3, all FOIP Section 25 for information.
Thank you, Council. I will now call for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. And a motion, please, I'm calling for adjournment. Councillor Walsh. At 3:04 p.m. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for viewers for being with us today.